Fire. It's the most deadly thing that can happen at sea. And we just learned today that as many as 45 ships across most major cruise lines could have a hidden danger inside of them that puts your life and the lives of everyone aboard at risk during every sailing. Did we just uncover the biggest scandal in cruising? Let's roll the intro. Hey, welcome to the Midships channel. I'm your Captain Corey. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. And wow, I'm a little bit sick to my stomach after what I just read. There is a massive scandal brewing in the cruise industry, and I think the lid is about to be blown off. Thanks to the delay of MSC's newest ultra-luxury ship, the Explorer 1, we've learned that as many as 45 cruise ships in operation today, dating back as far as Oasis of the Seas, have potentially faulty fire safety systems installed on board. Major fire protection systems, I should say. Systems that span the entirety of the ships installed on board. This all spins around an Ohio-based company called Owens Corning, who owns a supplier of fire safety products named Paroc. And Paroc supplies the fire safety panels that go between all of the walls on cruise ships. Now, if you weren't aware, fire is the most dangerous thing that can happen on board a cruise ship, bar none. Worse than hitting an iceberg is a fire. And that is why cruise operators are so darn strict about what you and I can bring on board ships. Did you ever wonder why you can't bring a surge protector on a cruise ship? Fire. Ever wonder why you can't bring an iron on board to get the wrinkles out of your clothes? Fire. They take this very seriously. In fact, I firsthand know just how seriously cruise lines take fire because when I was on board the maiden sailing of the MSC Seascape. I think it was the Seascape. It's the one with the Robotron. Pretty sure Seascape. When I was sailing on that ship, I was on the very first cruise ever out of the US, and I was up in my cabin using the hairdryer when all of a sudden the fire alarm started going off in my cabin, indicating a fire. And let me tell you how quickly someone showed up at my door. I was in the extreme back of the ship. They ran all the way from the bridge to my door to let me know the captain of the ship had my name and room number on his computer screen because they thought my cabin was on fire. Yeah, that's kind of a fun story. No one got hurt. We can all laugh about it. You know, it's a new ship thing. These are going to happen. I was probably the first person to use the hairdryer. Some chemicals probably burnt off. Who knows? But it caused the fire alarm to go off, and I got a first-hand experience of just how serious this is taken on board a ship. And it's something that does need to be taken extremely seriously. And I think there is a massive looming problem on the horizon for most cruise operators. Because according to an article from the Financial Times, the supplier of the fire safety panels, Paroc, they lost their safety certification for the panels back in May of this year. And that's because the fire safety panels don't actually stop the fires like they're supposed to. Now, Paroc has identified around 45 cruise ships that these faulty panels are currently installed on, ranging from currently operating ships to ships that are still under construction. And all of these panels are now being recalled. So consider this. We have brand new ships currently being built, and these panels are being used across multiple shipyards that you know the names of. Meyer Werft, Fincantieri, you know these names if you're into cruising. And as I get ready to list the names of a lot of these new and very popular ships that might be affected by this terrifying condition on board, well, before I do that, I want to remind you that if you want to have the best possible cruise experience, well, you should prepare for your cruise ahead of time by spending a few minutes in the Midships Amazon store. In there, you can find the cruise essentials that I personally use and love every single time I cruise. And folks, I've been through 5 or 10 versions of pretty much every item in that store before landing on the one that I think is the best. Check it out. There's a link in the description down below. Everything in there is a great deal. It's very affordable, and I think you're going to love it for your next cruise. Now let's get back into some more specificity, specifically specificity on specific ships. Sometimes you just got to use the word specificity repeatedly. This is a big list, however, it's not comprehensive, but we'll start with the brand new MSC Eurybia, which just debuted last month. The ship has the affected panels on board her, and it sounds like a lot of Royal Caribbean vessels could be affected as well. Like I said, at least one Carnival ship is being reported to have these installed on board. And while we don't know exactly which vessels necessarily have the panels, the Aida Cosma, Disney Wish, the Rotterdam, Discovery Princess, Norwegian Prima and Viva, Queen Anne, Carnival Jubilee, Norwegian Viva, all of these names could be associated with faulty fire safety equipment being on board the ships. And I can't imagine how much it would cost each of these instances for these ships to be pulled out of service, sailed over to the shipyard, put in dry dock or wet dock, whatever they have to do, to pull these panels and refit them with ones that meet spec. Now, the one silver lining here is these panels are actually designed to be removed and replaced over time. It happens during the dry dock. The panels themselves are certified for a period of 5 years, and then they either have to be reinstalled, replaced, or recertified. Now, certification on these faulty panels extends all the way out to 2025. Obviously, that certification technically is in place, but is it any good? Here's the thing. We've now seen one new build cruise ship be delayed as a result of what I just told you about. And a lot of cruise ships that are extremely popular, and I listed a lot of them, might also end up being delayed as a result of this. Now, think of the ships that are currently being built that are extremely popular. Carnival Jubilee? Maybe? Utopia of the Seas? What about Icon of the Seas? What would happen if Icon of the Seas, which is now in her sea trials phase, had to be pulled out of service to have every single fire panel replaced on that ship? How long would that take? How many cruises would need to be canceled? Would it be feasible for Royal Caribbean to do that? Would they want to do that now or potentially sail with a fire hazard and wait 4 or 5 years till the first dry dock to do that? Regardless, there are a lot of questions that need to be asked of every single ship coming out from Fincantieri and Meyer Werft Shipyard at the very minimum. So here's the thing. Who determines whether or not it's safe for these ships with these panels that might not work? Who determines that these are actually safe for guests and passengers and crew to be on board sailing in the middle of the ocean? Well, it's up to the individual country and port where the ships are registered. You ever see the word Nassau or Panama on the back of a cruise ship? That's where the ship is flagged or registered. Now, next steps in determining whether or not this is an immediate problem that requires ships to be pulled and dry docks to occur, well, testing is going to have to occur of the materials that are currently on board some of the ships that might be affected. Now, take a look at how the testing is done. This is what they do. These panels are subjected to, in this case, 24 hours straight of direct flame coming from a blowtorch. And this is how these panels are supposed to behave. Nothing. It's just hot. It's 1,000 degrees, but it's not on fire. Now, you might be taking all of this in and asking yourself, where does this leave me as Joe or Sally Cruiser? At the end of the day, any ship that's been built since 2020 at the aforementioned shipyards might be out there sailing right now with unsafe materials. Think about this. Remember this video, the Carnival Freedom? This ship is now sailing, operating right now, without her signature funnel because of a massive fire that occurred last May. But that's not the only ship in recent history that's had fires on board. And just last year, Disney Wonder had a small fire on board. We just recently reported about an adventure cruise line up in Alaska that had a fire. Princess Cruise Line had to swoop in and save them with, ironically, what could be a ship that has a bigger fire risk than the ship they were on. And perhaps the biggest question of all I have of recent fires, back in April 2020, during her construction, the Carnival Mardi Gras experienced a fire outbreak on board that ship. And fast forward to February of this year, and a similar construction fire also broke out on Icon of the Seas. I wonder, are these related to the Paroc insulation panels that aren't up to spec? That's just me wondering, throwing things out here. There's no indication of this at this point, but it's healthy to ask questions like this, especially when there's a lot of smoke here. There could be fire. Let me know your thoughts on this whole thing in the comments down below. Do you think this is the largest scandal to ever hit the cruise industry? If you made it this far in today's episode, please make sure you get subscribed to the channel as we inch our way closer and closer to 20,000 subscribers. What a huge milestone for 2 years of YouTube. While you're down there subscribing, hit the thumbs up button if you're ready to be told about the next Midships group cruise. I've got a really cool one in the works. It's the only way to let me know you're ready to come on board a big old cruise ship with me. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. And until next time, we'll see ya on the Midships.